to this post that we have coming in from Governor Greg Abbott there over in Texas. He posted, "The state of Texas is surging all available resources to respond to the devastating flooding around the Kerr County area. That includes water rescue teams, sheltering centers, the National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety. The immediate priority is saving lives." As we mentioned right now, the acting governor, who is, of course, filling in, so to speak, for Governor Abbott, is going to be holding a news conference here in just about 40 minutes at 3 p.m. Eastern time. That is 2 p.m. local time. We're going to bring that to you here on Live Now from Fox as we can. Do want to head to a quick break here, but we will have much more live coverage coming up in just a few on this 4th of July. You're watching Live Now from Fox. Much more to come. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox, 224 on the East Coast and 1124 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here for the next several hours to bring you all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news on this 4th of July. Again, we will get back to our coverage here of some of the parades, ceremonies, and events that are going to be taking place, but we do want to stick right now with some of this breaking news that is coming into our newsroom. Take a live look once again. This is over Kerr County there in Texas, as we are getting these live images of the flooding. Now, we know that a flash flood emergency has been in effect for this area, and we do expect a news conference with the Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, who is actually the acting governor right now in Texas. That is slated for 3 p.m. Eastern time. That is 2 p.m. Central time. Now, I do want to bring you a post that he posted on social media a short time ago. Take a look. Obviously, the letters are very small, but I am going to read that statement for you as Acting Governor Dan Patrick issued that statement from the Texas State Emergency Operations Center. Quote, "I am working in coordination with the state's emergency response team on the significant flooding that occurred in the Hill Country and Conco Valley regions in the early hours of this morning. The Kerr County Sheriff's Office has reported catastrophic flooding in the area, with several people missing and confirmed loss of life. Additional rain is forecast in those areas. Even if the rain is light, more flooding can occur in those areas. There's an ongoing threat for possible flash flooding from San Antonio to Waco for the next 24 to 48 hours, in addition to the continued risks in West and Central Texas. I urge Texans in impacted areas to heed the guidance of their local officials. The Texas Division of Emergency Management and other state emergency response assets are on the ground assisting Texas communities with their response operations and any unmet needs. I will hold a press conference from the Texas State Emergency Operations Center in Austin later this afternoon to brief the public and the media with the latest updates. Media advisory to follow. Again, that is the assistant lieutenant governor, for Texas, who is currently the acting governor in place of Greg Abbott. Now, there was a news conference that was held a short time ago, very brief, but it provided the latest information as Kerr County officials do say that at least 6 lives have been lost, and sadly, that death toll is expected to rise.
Good morning, everybody. Today's been a really difficult day so far in Kerr County, and we'd like to share with you some information about our response. We are currently in an extremely active scene right now. There are assets deployed across the county to help start the recovery process from this catastrophic flooding. I have with me today much of our command staff, and today you're going to hear from, this morning, from County Judge Rob Kelly and Kerrville Mayor Joe Herring behind me, about our response. Again, please understand this is an ongoing, very active scene. We're going to give as much information as we can, but please respect the fact this is, we have every single asset possible available to us that has been deployed for this recovery. So with that, we'll open up to a few questions and statements. So statements real quick. Judge Kelly.
Good morning. I want to thank everyone. Know that this response is being led locally, but also at the state level, with very active participation. I was awakened this morning with a phone call from Nim Kidd, who is the executive director of the Texas Department of Emergency Management, and we are on their radar screen. And as we were walking out of the sheriff's office, we had a call from Senator Cornyn with both our state senator and our state representative. And we have assets available. There's a lot of discussion about casualties, fatalities, a lot of discussion about how many people are missing. And I've been advised not to use any numbers. We do have some numbers, but we're not going to use them at this time. We'll have another meeting. What is it, 3 o'clock? We have another one? Yes, sir. Okay. And hopefully be able to flesh out some of those numbers. But suffice it to say, this has been a very devastating and deadly flood. I happen to live on Highway 39, which was the Guadalupe River this morning. And from the benchmarks, from the people that my wife bought the property from years ago, this far surpasses the 87 flood. I'm happy to say that the water did not get in the house. It got my office and the fence and the gate and the outbuildings. But when you look out your front door and you see the Guadalupe River running, it'll wake you up, let me tell you. With that, we can confirm that we are jointly working with each other. We don't have specific counts on the number of helicopters or different pieces of equipment at this point. Again, we'll probably try to have a little bit more information about that at 3 o'clock. But what we need is cooperation and prayers. And for the cooperation, if there are any people that are interested in trying to donate with this response, please do that with the American Red Cross and identify this event, the Guadalupe River flood, and we'll let them handle that. And with that, I want to introduce the mayor. We share responsibilities. Both I do the county, he does the city, but he is the senior emergency manager for the city. Mayor?
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for being here. My role today is to say thank you. Thank you to the men and women who are working to save lives, save property. This came at night when people were asleep in bed. please pray for our community. Thanks.
And with that, we'd like to open it up for questions.
Kayla Washington here with KXAN.
Wait,
Louis Amsworth.
the report was that we had numerous kids from Camp Mystic missing, and I just saw that they may have been all accounted for. Can you guys confirm that the camps are accounted for at this point?
Okay.
Judge, I can respond to that. We can't say for sure that they're all accounted for. We know that there are some missing. We know where some of them are stranded. And we've worked to confirm that with the people out at Camp Mystic. But in terms of exactly how many are missing and unaccounted for, we're not sure about that number. But we have a bunch of them that we're trying to get back.
Our building on that, pretty constantly with Fox 7 out of Austin. These kids, were they in trees? You know, where were these rescues and how were these rescues done?
I don't know the answer to that question.
And by who? Was it National Guard, DPS?
I don't know.
Jayla Washington here with KXAN. I know you guys aren't giving specific numbers. Would you be able to give us any indication of the people who you guys have found who unfortunately did pass away? Are they older? Are they younger?
Actually, most of them, we don't know who they are. We're having to fingerprint them at the funeral home. And one of them was completely naked. We didn't have any ID on him at all. So we're trying to get the identity of these folks, but we don't have it yet.
There are other camps that we are having viewers ask us about. The Heart of Hills Girls Camp and another Boy Scout camp. We have a lot of parents who are watching right now who are concerned about their kiddos at several of these camps. Have you heard any?
We have a lot of camps.
Right.
And I live right across from Rio Vista Camp. There are questions about that too. I don't know any specifics about any of the individual camps. What I do know is that everybody is doing their very, very best and trying to get this identified as much as we can.
Parents who have their kids at these camps, how can they find out if their kids are safe?
Call the camp.
Do we have any idea how many rescues you've already attempted this morning, swiftwater rescues? Any ideas on that?
Dozens. Dozens.
Can you talk to us about what kind of warning system might have been in place last night just to make sure that everybody got out safely?
We do not have a warning system on the river.
Earlier, I was told that the boats couldn't even be deployed near the Junction Highway. The boats were on standby. They're waiting on aircraft. Is that still the case right now? These are all aircraft rescues of boats.
I don't know anything about that.
Judge, why weren't these camps evacuated yesterday? Texas Department of Emergency Management put out an all call and said there's going to be a problem. We knew there was going to be a problem. Why weren't these camps evacuated?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Well, you're the judge. I mean, you're the top official here in this county. Why can't you answer that? There are kids missing. These camps were in harm's way. We knew this flood was coming.
We didn't know this flood was coming. Rest assured, no one knew this kind of flood was coming. We have floods all the time. This is the most dangerous river valley in the United States.
I agree.
And we deal with floods on a regular basis. When it rains, we get water. We had no reason to believe that this was going to be anything like what's happened here. None whatsoever.
Do you have any streamlined process for families who are still?
Yes. We have some reunification locations. In West Kerr County, it's at the Ingram Elementary School. And for here in Kerrville, it's at the Arcadia, I think. Is that right? And then they'll have to coordinate. You know, ultimately, the two have to coordinate to see who we have and who we don't. So.
There were some families who were where are you able to find your family members? Is there going to be one streamlined process to try to keep everything organized here?
We have the two locations. That's as good as we can do right now.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to these families? Anything that you'd like to let them know what you guys are doing right now?
All I can tell you is that everybody is doing everything.
And I did want to let you know this video is as incoming, so essentially you can hear that it's kind of going in and out. The signal obviously not the best there right now over in Kerr County. Not clear where the actual news conference will be in just about 30 minutes or so with Lieutenant Governor, now acting Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick. but we might have the same signal issue. It's unclear. We're going to make sure to bring that to you, but it looks like the camera's back in focus there, and the audio may have been fixed, so let's lift up the audio and continue to listen in.
Kid. Do we have any others? TTW. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So some of the resources that are out there right now, we're working with Texas Department of Emergency Management through their processes and their teams. And by the way, I'm Dalton Rice, the city manager for City of Kerrville. Through Texas Department, or through TD, all the different access can be county disaster declarations, or even federal assets as far as. So we are as many possible agencies. We've had cities reach out to us across the board within their.
All right, so as you're seeing, the video is not the best, but we did want to bring you those initial comments from Kerr County. Again, another news conference is scheduled here with Acting Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick. That is set for 23 minutes from now, depending on the signal, of course. We'll make sure to bring that to you on Live Now from Fox. But as you can see, as we take a live look here from our XRAD radar system, we are zoomed in, and that is Kerrville right there in the center of your screen, where they are still dealing with a lot of rain, very powerful storms, and extensive flooding. We'll keep you updated here on Live Now from Fox as we cover all of this from each and every angle. Going to head to a quick break now, 2:38 on the East Coast, 11:38 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and you're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. Welcome in here on Live Now from Fox, 2:40 on the East Coast and 11:40 on the West Coast on this 4th of July. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here on Live Now. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here for the next several hours to bring you all of your top stories, breaking news, and live events. I do want to remind you here that we are going to have these fireworks celebrations that are taking place later on today. Our live coverage of all of it with Mike Page and Austin Westfall does start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. They will take you on a journey, a live journey there, through all of the different celebrations taking place across the country. And I can tell you there are a lot of them, and we have cameras at so many. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can just turn on the TV, tune in to Live Now from Fox. That all starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and if we see any other celebrations pop up earlier, we will, of course, bring those to you here on Live Now. Important to note that at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, we do have a ceremony with President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. That is at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, so you can watch that live and uninterrupted right here on Live Now from Fox, as we do take a live look over the White House at this hour. Now, a lot of folks will be out setting off fireworks later on tonight, and the Alameda County, California officials have provided an update on safety, as we know that unfortunately fireworks can be dangerous. Let's pop up the audio here and listen to that briefing.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Hurd. I'm the Public Affairs Manager for the Alameda County Fire Department. We're here to talk about fire safety. And what Alameda County Fire Department is doing is we're upstaffing during this 4th of July weekend. We're going to have 2 speakers for you today. First off, we have Deputy Chief Ryan Nishimoto. And then we also have Captain Eric Truax, who is the supervisor for Crew 8. We'll explain what Crew 8 is in just a moment, but first we'll start off with Deputy Chief Ryan Nishimoto.
All right, good morning everyone. I'm Ryan Nishimoto, Deputy Chief of Operations for Alameda County Fire Department. As Cheryl said, we have been preparing for this July 4th holiday, especially in light of everything going on when it comes to wildfires. We've been not only prepping with our staffing, but we've been planning with our communities, making sure they're ready, making sure that vegetation is managed with our fuels management crew, and also with our upstaffing and having 3 safe and sane jurisdictions, being City of Dublin, City of Newark, and the City of Union City. We're going to be upstaffing in those jurisdictions 4 additional engine companies, 1 bulldozer, 1 hand crew, 1 battalion chief, and 1 water tender. Those units will be split up amongst the 3 jurisdictions, but they're also going to be available for the entire ACFD if needed come July 4th. Those units won't come online though until about 6 p.m. and they're going to be on until midnight unless we need them any further. Unless there's any questions for me, I'm going to have Eric Truax come up, captain of our hand crew, Crew 8, and at the same time we'll both be available for any questions after this.
Good morning, Eric Truax, Alameda County Fire Captain and Superintendent of Crew 8. Recently, what Alameda County Fire has done is stood up a hand crew focusing on fuels mitigation, fire prevention, as well as initial attack within the county and throughout the state. What we do is we specialize 20 hand crew members that are able to supplement and add a force multiplier to any initial attack within the county, meaning that we bring in almost an entire first alarm with us to these fires. As we find in situations like the 4th, we get lots of starts. Lots of starts equal lots of resources. As those resources draw down, what we're able to do with the crew is bring in additional manpower to supplement our forces and reinforce the crews on the line so that we are able to contain these fires faster, put ring of hand line around them, and then move on to the next one to sustain our numbers so that we're able to respond to emergencies throughout the county.
So Eric, can you talk about the video? I released the video that we did yesterday. Kind of tell us about why it's important to have training around that kind of thing, because the wind is blowing just a little bit. Kind of give us a rundown of what that video is about that they just released, that baby stuff.
Absolutely. So yesterday we participated in a prescribed fire burn, where a prescribed fire, we go in, we make a plan, and under our plan with pre-positioned resources, we're able to put fire on the ground to consume fuel, thus eliminating chance of an out-of-control fire starting. So we target areas that are prone to starts, and what we're able to do is go in and burn them on our terms rather than them burning in worst-case scenarios with high winds, red flag warnings, and that, thus giving us a foothold in certain areas. We use it as training opportunity as well, getting our crews, familiar with fighting fire in different conditions, different fuel types, and keeping everybody sharp so that when we do get emergency calls, we're able just to respond like we do with our training.
What's your message to the public? How can they help you out? I mean, you're going to be busy regardless, but they can help in ways.
Absolutely. I think, just staying conscious of what you're doing and where you're doing it. If in your jurisdiction safe and sane fireworks are allowed, what's important is that you do follow the rules. And you just think about consequences if you are to start, where you're lighting your safe and sane fireworks. And if fireworks in your area are not allowed, not lighting off any fireworks, any new start can turn into a conflagration with when resources get strapped down. So, you know, all it takes is 1 acre can burn 3 houses, and something like that would be terrible for the community. So just think about, you know, it's okay to have fun. It's okay to celebrate the 4th of July, but, you know, you don't want to have that disaster where you accidentally start a fire in your community that you love and you know, possibly burn a neighbor's house down or put a life at risk.
Sure. Just to add to that, and just like Captain Truax said, we want everyone to enjoy the holidays, but we also want them to do it responsibly. Everyone on the block could be doing their part, and it takes just one person to not follow the rules, and the whole block is subject to devastation, losing property, losing lives. So we really want to avoid that. A big thing we've seen over the last several years when it comes to fires during this time of year is the improper disposal of our safe and sane fireworks. Please make sure when you're using safe and sane fireworks, you use them as they're intended. Read the directions. Think about the disposal techniques. A lot of people dispose of them right away into garbage cans, trash areas, in public places, and that's what causes fires. Those fires then can emit embers and then take off depending on the weather conditions, the humidity, all the other factors that help fires grow. So please be responsible tomorrow.
And just as a veteran firefighter, I'm outside, it's windy, it's clearly dry, there's some green but not much. So this has a potential to get ugly if a fire is there.
Yes, this time of year the fuels they're cured. They're ready right where they should be, meaning that they're vulnerable to embers, they're vulnerable to heat and ignition. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, it looks like the weather as far as heat is not going to be overly hot or hotter than usual, but we do have the potential for winds, and like I said, those winds will further dry out the vegetation and at the same time cause more risks for fire spread, fire ignition, and just larger fires in general.
Question about what happened in Yolo County. Obviously, that is a horrible tragedy, still under investigation, but they were professional grade fireworks. How much does that add to the message that fireworks are explosives and when not used properly, tragedies can happen?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. I believe it's still under investigation, as you said, but I will tell you that those of us in the Alameda County family, Alameda County Fire family, our thoughts and prayers go out to all those who are affected in the Yolo County area.
Talk about disposal again. I used to use safe and sane fireworks in the Central Valley where I grew up. We'd always put it in a bucket of water. Is that what people should do? What is the proper disposal of safe and sane fireworks?
You're doing it right.
Okay.
Yes, it's recommended that you do put used and unused, if you don't plan on using them, safe and sane fireworks, you submerge them in water. A bucket of water works just fine. I believe the directions on both say to leave it overnight and don't dispose of it till the next morning. Any other questions?
Questions? One other thing, Eric, I'd like you to do is to explain what Crew does and how you guys work out there mitigating fires and things like that. Because a lot of people don't even, what's Crew 8?
Yeah, so Crew 8 is a hand crew, meaning it's a group of individuals that go out, and our primary mission is fuels reduction work in the county. What that does is that gives our firefighting forces responding to a wildland fire kind of a foothold in those communities of where we can hopefully stop or anchor a fire to increase suppression efforts. With that, we also supplement first alarms. So when we show up to a fire, our job is to put hand line around that fire, bring the soil, the fuel down to bare mineral soil, thus reducing the risk of that fire escaping after resources leave. That's, you know, kind of the gold standard is with the bulldozer as with the hand crew, you know, where they can't go, we can go. And we try to get a ring around that fire down to bare mineral soil, so nothing kind of gets outside of our containment lines and our control lines. But I think in the community, our primary mission is really making a fire safe community and county. You know, we are prone to fires. We do have history. We have, you know, one of the largest fires in California state history in our backyard with the SU Lightning Complex, and with the tunnel fire, one of the most destructive fires. So Alameda County is rich in fire history, and our primary mission is to make sure that doesn't happen again, and that if we do get that start, unfortunately, at the wrong time, hopefully our firefighting forces will be able to use a fuel break or some of the fuel thinning that we've done to protect our communities and our citizens. And that's kind of our primary mission. That's our goal working forward in the future is being the hand crew for the county.
All right, that was a news conference there out of Alameda County, California, coming in from our Fox team over in Los Angeles. And of course, a lot of safety tips and information because, as you know, if you watch us here on Live Now from Fox, there were those wildfires that were burning across the Los Angeles area earlier on this year. So they want to make sure that people do stay safe if they are setting off fireworks later on today. Do want to pop this up on your screen because this is coming in out of the Los Angeles area. I'm glad they're zooming out because there appeared to be a curse word there on one of the signs, but this is an aerial view coming in from Sky Fox, Fox 11 LA, and you can see this is a protest and parade. It appears to be in part just based on some of those signs, an anti-government protest, and also you can see some of the anti-ICE comments as well. But again, some of those signs not appropriate for TV. So what we're going to do is actually head out to our final 2-minute commercial break. I'm going to leave you with this live image coming in out of the White House, as we do expect in just about 2 hours. That is when a ceremony will get underway with President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump, as Trump does sign that big, beautiful bill into law at that military family picnic. Again, we are going to bring that to you live. It is slated for 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's head to that final 2-minute commercial break of the hour, but so much more live news to get to here in just a few. We'll be right back. Welcome in here on Live Now from Fox on this Friday, July 4th. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here for the next several hours to bring you all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. Now, we did have a live image that was right outside the White House, but it looks like they took it down. Coming up here in just 2 hours, that is when President Trump is expected to take part in a signing ceremony for his One Big Beautiful bill. He's going to make that part of the military family parade that, again, starts at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You can watch it all right here on Live Now from Fox. And we also have this live image set up outside the White House. That is a microphone or two. And essentially what they hope for is that we are going to see White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt or another White House official who walks out for the day and maybe makes a few comments, takes questions from members of the media. If that does happen, we are going to bring those comments to you in full, as we always do, on Live Now from Fox. In the meantime, I do actually want to take you out to something that we were not able to air earlier on today, but as we stick with D.C., we do have a portion of the parade that took place a bit earlier in the National Mall. So I do want to pop up the audio here and listen in. All right, wanted to bring you that portion that we did have from our Fox 5 DC team showing part of the parade there in the National Mall there over in DC. But of course, fireworks will be showing later on tonight, and we're going to have all of them for you right here on Live Now from Fox. The celebrations really kick off once it gets dark, 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Mike Paish and Austin Westfall will take you through all of that here, the celebrations nationwide. You can watch them right here. You don't even have to leave your home. Just turn on Live Now from Fox, and they will be live and uninterrupted. Also do have this live image coming in from outside the White House, because in just about 2 hours or so, we do expect that President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump will attend the military family picnic. That is where President Trump will also hold a signing ceremony for his big, beautiful bill. We're going to make sure to bring that to you in full, as it's likely we will get comments. And don't forget, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time is that big White House fireworks show with President Trump and the First Family. Going to head to a quick break here, 3:10 on the East Coast and 12:10 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and you're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. Happy July 4th, and thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here till later on tonight to bring you all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news. Do want to take you out to this post here coming in from the First Lady, Melania Trump, who posted that photo right there on the left-hand side of your screen and said, "This Independence Day, we will celebrate our heroes and their families at the White House with a special picnic and breathtaking flyovers by F-22s, F-35s, and a B-2. Let's honor the sacrifices of our military families as we come together in gratitude and joy." Again, you're going to be able to watch all of that as it does get underway approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll see it uninterrupted right here, as always, on Live Now from Fox. Now, I do want to take you out to some of the other coverage that we do have as we continue to cover more about President Trump's big, beautiful bill, which should be signed at that ceremony there. Rebecca Castor has much more on the impacts of that bill.
Millions of Americans are hitting the road for what could be a record-breaking weekend for travel.
Traffic is heavy at some spots, but not really too unusual.
But safety is top of mind for many flying to their destinations after months of near misses and outages at airports.
The yeas are 218, the nays are 214.
The big, beautiful bill passed by Congress this week could ease some of those fears. It sets aside $12.5 billion to modernize the country's air traffic control system, one of President Trump's biggest policy priorities.
In some congested areas, you saw what happened with the helicopter and the plane and a lot of other things. If we had great equipment, and we should have had, it was all set up to go.
Calls for an overhaul increased after an American Airlines jet collided with a military helicopter in January. Then in April, equipment failures caused widespread flight disruptions at Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. But the legislation is not expected to fund a complete overhaul. And some industry groups estimate that could cost more than $30 billion.
We need additional money to actually fix the older equipment. This is a brand new, state-of-the-art system. And it's going to take 3 to 4 years, but we have to get started now.
The FAA is already making upgrades. On Thursday, the agency said it installed a new fiber optic network that will improve communications between New York and Philadelphia. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Rebecca, thank you so much. And as we know, those fireworks that are likely to go on a little bit later on tonight can be startling for some veterans. Gary Baumgarten has much more on that.
While fireworks can dazzle, they can also pose hazards for people and the environment. Their explosions can especially be troubling for people with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. It's a condition brought on after someone experiences or witnesses a traumatic event.
Things like sexual assault, combat, severe motor vehicle accident, natural disaster.
Symptoms vary, but can include
hypervigilance, nightmares, alterations to cognition and mood.
Psychology experts say roughly 6% of adults in the United States have experienced PTSD at some point in their life, but it can be more common in veterans.
Everyone's experience of PTSD is a little bit different, but these triggers often include things like people, places, objects, sounds, sights.
And this time of year, the flashes and bangs from fireworks could trigger negative responses. Besides going to therapy, animal experts say service dogs can help provide comfort and relief.
Assistance dogs help veterans that are struggling with PTSD with their task training. These tasks may include things like blocking, so creating some space between veterans and other people in crowded spaces, interrupting to nightmares, so waking veterans up when they experience nightmares, or alerting to anxiety.
Meanwhile, when compared to veterans without service dogs, previous studies show
veterans with service dogs experience lower anxiety, lower PTSD symptomology, lower depression, greater participation in activities, and overall greater family and relational functioning.
Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Gary, thank you so much. And I do want to take you out to this live image right here. I'm keeping an eye on the signs, as I know some are not appropriate, but essentially this is thousands of people there who are in Los Angeles. They are on the streets marching there, hitting the streets on the 4th of July to rally in opposition of federal immigration enforcement there in Southern California. Now, the rally did begin around 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, that is 9:30 local, at City Hall as they continue to march peacefully over to Grand Park. As you can see, there is a heavy law enforcement presence there just to make sure things do not get out of hand. We know Hunter Dunn, who is one of the march's organizers, said in a press release, quote, "When you look at Putin's invasion of Ukraine, Netanyahu's bombing of Gaza, ICE's raids in LA, or Trump's alligator Auschwitz, you are seeing just one part of a bigger oppressive picture. On July 4th, our community is coming together to demand an end to genocides, occupations, and oppression at home and around the world." The recent anti-ICE protests in LA and Orange counties erupted following widespread anger over the agency's enforcement tactics that began on Friday, June 6th. So almost a month ago, we did see some of those protests kind of escalating into riots as there was looting, there was damage done to several different businesses there. But again, for the most part, this one on your screen, while there are a lot of people there, it does appear to be fairly peaceful as of now. But again, that heavy law enforcement presence is there to make sure everything does stay under control. Also want to take you out to this live image right here that is coming in out of the Texas Division of Emergency Management. Any moment now, we do expect to see acting Texas Governor Dan Patrick, who is, of course, the lieutenant governor over the state. He is going to be joined by several emergency officials as they discuss the latest on that deadly flooding that has taken place there in Kerr County and surrounding areas. We have seen a lot of the live images that have come in over the past several hours. Sadly, during the last update, officials did confirm that there were at least 6 deaths, and the sheriff and emergency officials said, sadly, that number was only likely to rise. Again, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who is currently in the acting role of Texas Governor for Greg Abbott, does expect to speak here in a matter of moments. This was slated for 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and as you know, we are about 20 minutes past that, so we should see him sitting down any moment now. Also do want to pop this up on your screen. This is coming in from Secretary Turner, Scott Turner specifically, who posted these images coming in out of Kerr County and said, "Prayers for my state of Texas as search and rescue teams are out for the people affected by this devastating flood. We are praying for all involved." We know there is a flash flood emergency in that area, and on top of that, we also have evacuation orders that are in place. Lieutenant Governor Patrick expected to address all of that here in a matter of moments. Let's head to a quick break here at 3:20 on the East Coast and 12:20 on the West Coast. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. Happy July 4th, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us here on this Friday. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here for the next several hours to bring you all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news. And you've seen those live images that have been coming in from outside the White House as that military family parade is expected to begin here around 5 p.m. Eastern. We know that during that is when we do expect that President Trump will sign the big, beautiful bill. So there's going to be a ceremony as part of that military picnic that, again, will get underway around 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Taking you out right now to this live image right here that does show the exterior of the White House. We should be getting some other live images from that area coming in very, very soon. I also do want to remind you here that we are following the latest on the situation in Texas, and once that news conference does start, we'll bring it to you here on Live Now from Fox. Now, we are going to have extensive coverage here of different celebrations that take place later on today with our coverage starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with Mike Page and Austin Westfall. They will be here to bring you each and every one of those celebrations, as we do have cameras as folks come together to celebrate Independence Day, the 4th of July, with fireworks and other celebrations. Now, in the meantime, we have been hearing from different officials nationwide, including over in Houston, Texas, where they provided an update on the situation in their area and surrounding areas when it comes to fireworks and other laws that do remain in effect.
As the city prepares to celebrate Independence Day, I want to remind residents to take precautions when we celebrate this holiday, but especially to take precautions to ensure a safe summer. It's not by accident that we're standing here at Dewson Park, where recently a young woman lost her life after running into a trouble on a personal watercraft. HFD is in charge of responding to these incidents when they occur. But we must also work together to prevent these type of water-related incidents from happening. To give you a timeline, since May, we've had 18 near drownings or water rescue calls. Unfortunately, 3 of these 18 resulted in fatalities, and out of those 18 involved 8 children. There's still plenty of summer left. We want Houstonians to continue to enjoy the outdoors. July 4th is a time to come together and celebrate our country and enjoy the days with family and friends. But we also want everyone to stay safe. And I also want to remind people to please supervise the children while they're in the water. All it takes is a split second to lose sight, and then we have a water incident. So important. Whether it's time at a lake, pool, beach, or around the house, there are things everyone can do to stay safe and ensure that their family safety is secured. With this, I'm going to pass it over to Captain Robinette, who will be talking about those safety tips. Captain?
That's right. Thank you, Chief. Good morning. As Chief Munoz stated, hey, this is a fun time of the year. It's a July 4th weekend ahead of us, and we just want to make sure those citizens are just reminded some safety tips and how to prepare going forward for the weekend and the summer. As you know, a lot of folks going to be out grilling this weekend, cooking in the backyard. I want to remind you guys, it's never safe to grill in a garage. You want to make sure your grill is at least 10 feet away from your home, have a fire extinguisher or a garden hose nearby if you have any mishaps. And before you dispose of those coals, make sure you saturate them in water before you put them in your aluminum trash bin. It's July. It's hot. We remind citizens to hydrate, drink plenty of water before doing any outdoor activities. We encourage you to exercise, work in the garden in the morning or in the evening before the sunrise. And when you're traveling with kids, make sure you don't leave any kids in the car. We do have unfortunate calls every year, kids left in hot cars. Let's be very proactive in preventing those incidents this year. Hey, we have the Freedom Over Texas coming up. Fireworks in the city of Houston being put on by professionals. As a reminder, fireworks are illegal to pop in the city of Houston. We encourage citizens to go down to the Freedom Over Texas and celebrate with all family and friends and leave the fireworks to the professionals. If you're in a surrounding area where you want to pop fireworks, hey, make sure you supervise the kids. Make sure you do not point fireworks to anyone. And when you dispose of fireworks, make sure they're all completely saturated in water before you dispose of them in the trash. Right now, we're going to talk about some boating safety. I'm going to pass it on to Captain Moreno for tips and suggestions.
Good morning. I hope everybody can see me. One of the big things is research has shown that the more saved by the bell you can be, the better you are being visible in the water. That's why I brought a pair of yellow or bright colored shorts here, bright orange life jackets. So the more visible that you can make yourself in the water, the better it is. It makes it easier for responders to find you. If you did fall off a jet ski or fall off a boat out here, you will be able to be seen. The other thing to be checking is read your pamphlets when you buy the life jackets. Make sure that they are Coast Guard approved. And finally, don't forget about your pets. Make sure that we want to be safe with the pets out here. Lastly, you are allowed to operate a boat over the age of 13 in the state of Texas, but you do have to have a boater safety card. That boater safety card is for $11 online, and it's a simple course, and that keeps you legal. Anybody born after September 1st, 1993 is required by law to have that. Also, when you're on a boat, anybody under the age of 13 is required to wear a life jacket at all times. Life jackets do have to be, for 13 and up, do have to be on the boat. And then lastly, make sure that you're wearing your kill switch. Well, I got one somewhere. Make sure that you're wearing your kill switch. Your kill switch is required by law. There is a finable offense by Texas Parks and Wildlife.
All right, any questions before we're going to have Captain Moreno can bring the boat around, and if y'all want to get some video.
I do want to emphasize the importance of your children, especially in hot cars, your pets as well. Sometimes those incidents can definitely be avoided. It's important to know that even at 90 degrees, your vehicle could get up to about 113, 115 inside, or even hotter on that. So please, please pay attention. Remember, so many times we get distracted by a phone call, we forget. Have a reminder that your child's back there. It sounds like, how can people forget? But that is the number one reason that people just forget their children are in there. So please, please emphasize that. Remember how hot it is. It's an oven inside that car. So definitely, I want to emphasize that with great importance, as well as the water safety, to supervise your children. Thank you.
You want to talk about it? Elaborate a little bit on pool safety?
For us, obviously, the pool safety, there's a saying that we have, just because you have people around does not require their children are supervised, or it doesn't mean that children are being supervised, right? And those are the key things that for us, so many times there's distraction during parties, the children are playing, and a lot of times we have gone to incidents where there's actual parties and a child drowns without people recognizing that the child's gone. You have so many children sometimes in a pool that does happen, right? If you have those toddlers, please ensure that either there's a gate, make sure your door's locked, because the children tend to wander off, and make sure that they know what they're playing with. What type of toys are they playing with? What do I say that? Just oftentimes, kids think that a tent might be a toy, they take it in, and unfortunately that did occur, and someone, 2 fatalities as a result of that. But the best safety that we can always do is the supervision. Know where those children are at all times. If you do have a pool, ensure that either the doors are locked, there's a gate around the pool that can't be reached, because we see that time and time again, that those are preventable. Those are preventable. So that on the pool safety. And obviously, take your child to learn how to swim, take them to swim lessons. But again, it's important to remember that sometimes people get confused that even though I know how to swim, I won't get into danger. You could be out there for an hour. At some point, the body just decides I can't do it anymore, and that becoming tired is a safety issue sometimes with those issues, with that water safety issue. But really, supervision, secure your pool, make sure that that doesn't occur. Take the precautionaries necessary to, take your child to swim lessons. And that's where you learn the water safety as well. So that's very important.
Chief, can we just go over the details of that most recent fatality? I think it's the young woman with the jet ski.
Well, from what we understand, there was some issues that she fell overboard. People came to the dock and they realized she was missing. At that point, HFD took over and along with other agencies, and at that point it unfortunately became a body recovery. And as always, our prayers are always with those families and sympathy. But those are the things that make sure, as Cap Moreno mentioned, you never know, right, where your life is. Take all precautionary measures to ensure that you know that.
Was she wearing a life vest?
That I'm not aware of, sir, and we can get those details for you. Any other questions? Did you have a question?
Oh, yeah. Can you say some words of deterrent, please, against people shooting out bullets in the air just for noise?
Yeah, you know, unfortunately during fireworks, people do have a tendency to shoot up in the air. It's a reminder, everyone, everything that goes up must come down. And you never know where that projection is going to be, where it's going to land. And unfortunately, we do have fatalities or serious injuries as a result of people firing their weapons up in the air, thinking it's the same as fireworks. But that's a great question. During 4th of July or any event that we're allowed to pop fireworks, that is one thing that we continue to see, and HPD continuously advises people not to do that, because obviously at some point there have been fatalities or serious injuries about that. So please don't shoot your your weapons up in the air.
All right, so officials there in Houston, Texas, with some tips that do work nationwide, not just in those specific areas, for if you are going to be shooting off fireworks. And as you heard him say, do not shoot weapons into the air. I know that is a situation that does happen nationwide on the 4th of July, so that is a reminder from officials in that location. We also have this live image coming in. It looks as though it is frozen, though, as we did have a shot outside of the White House as preparations were being made, final preparations there for the event that is expected to kick off at 5 p.m. Eastern time today as President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump attend that military family picnic. During that picnic, that is when President Trump will sign the big, beautiful bill. Then 9 p.m. Eastern time, there is that big White House fireworks show. It's going to be part of our extensive coverage here as we bring you everything related to celebrations for the 4th of July. Our coverage does start tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Our very own Mike Page and Austin Westfall will have all of those celebrations from the East Coast over to the West Coast. Let's head to a quick break here, but we will have much more live coverage coming up in just a few. You're watching Live Now from Fox. My name is Josh Breslow, and we will be right back. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. It is 3:37 on the East Coast and 12:37 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here on this 4th of July to bring you all of the celebrations, but also top stories, live events, and breaking news from across the country and across the world. And right now, once again, I do want to take you out to this live image over at the Texas Division of Emergency Management as we are awaiting this news conference with acting Texas Governor Dan Patrick, as well as other emergency officials. They are going to give an update on the extreme flooding that we have seen in that area, specifically over in Kerr County, which is outside of the San Antonio area, about 90 miles northwest. As we take a live look here from one of our cameras in those locations, you can see an aerial view of sorts there with the flooding still taking place over in Kerr County, specifically in Kerrville. And the rain, as you can tell, is still coming down. There was a flash flood emergency that did remain in effect until about 4 p.m. Eastern time. That is 3 p.m. Central time. That's about 22 minutes from now. Again, this news conference that you're looking at on your screen was expected to start here around 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern, which was 39 minutes ago. It looks like they are making some final preparations and giving some last-minute instructions prior to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who is the acting governor right now in Texas, before he does enter in. Looks like they are moving the camera. So for now, I'm going to take you out to some of the statements that we do have right here. This is Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who says the state of Texas is surging all available resources to respond to the devastating flooding around the Kerr County area. That includes water rescue teams, sheltering centers, the National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety. The immediate priority is saving lives. Again, that is a post here from Texas Governor Greg Abbott. And as for the Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, who is the acting governor at this point, he is expected to hold the news conference. And I know that's kind of hard to read right there, but essentially he says that he is working in coordination with the state's emergency response team on the significant flooding that occurred in the Hill Country and Conco Valley regions in the early hours of this morning. We do have an image of Dan Patrick now, so let's lift up the audio. All right, as of right now, it looks like there isn't a microphone set up just yet. Not sure if we are going to be getting audio here. We were told this would be a news conference. However, again, no microphone set up just yet. This is all in regards to that extreme flooding in the Kerr County area, where unfortunately officials do confirm at least 6 people have lost their lives. And they do say that that number, unfortunately, could continue to rise. We are going to lift up the audio as it looks like they are working to maybe get the sound plugged up and provide some of that audio. Okay, well, the camera is kind of moving out of that area right now, so I'm not sure if they are going to set up for the news conference elsewhere. But again, our crew is out there working to set everything up. We know that in another room, they did have the microphones that were set up and ready to go, so maybe they're just making some final preps there. I do want to take you back out to the post here from Dan Patrick. Again, I started to read this, but essentially he said the Kerr County Sheriff's Office has reported catastrophic flooding in the area with several people missing and confirmed loss of life. Additional rain forecast in those areas. Now, even if the rain is light, more flooding can occur in those areas. There's an ongoing threat for possible flash flooding from San Antonio to Waco for the next 24 to 48 hours, in addition to the continued risks in West and Central Texas. I urge Texans in impacted areas to heed the guidance of their local officials. The Texas Division of Emergency Management and other state emergency response assets are on the ground assisting Texas communities with response operations and any unmet needs. I will hold a press conference from the Texas State Emergency Operations Center in Austin later this afternoon to brief the public and the media with the latest updates, media advisory to follow. And that was what we are expecting here with this live image. However, as of right now, it looks like Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who is the acting governor, is actually in a different room. As we see this all start up, we are going to make sure to bring it to you here, as we always do, live and uninterrupted on Live Now from Fox. For now, I do want to step away for the final 2-minute commercial break of the hour. A lot more live news to get to coming up in just a few. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. We are getting closer to the top of the hour. It is 3:45 on the East Coast and 12:45 on the West Coast here on this 4th of July. My name is Josh Breslow. Thank you so much for spending part of your holiday with us. I do want to remind you that coming up starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we are going to have extensive coverage of all of the fireworks celebrations across the country. Again, that is slated to start as the sun sets there, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We will have Mike Page and Austin Westfall bringing you all of those celebrations that do take place nationwide. We also do have several events featuring President Donald Trump, and I do want to pop this up on your screen to give you a look at what to expect. Later on today, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, so in a little over an hour, we do have President Trump at the Military Family Picnic alongside the First Lady, Melania Trump. That is where the big, beautiful bill is expected to be signed into law. And then 9 p.m. Eastern Time, the White House fireworks celebration, part of our big extravaganza, again, kicking off there, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, so you don't have to go anywhere. You can watch all those fireworks with us right here on Live Now. Again, we are keeping an eye on this image that has been coming in from our Austin station, and this is over outside of San Antonio in Kerr County. That is where, in Texas, they are dealing with this extreme flooding. We know at least 6 people have died, and we are expecting the acting governor, Dan Patrick, to provide an update. We did see some live images of him in a room maybe 5 minutes ago as he was meeting with those emergency officials that Then our photographer actually went back into the briefing room, so it does appear that he's getting some final updates before he does move into this room and give us an update here. You can watch it on Live Now from Fox as it does get underway. And we're also seeing that several departments are sending their crews to help with all of this. The city of Houston posting that Houston is sending relief amid devastating Central Texas floods. My thoughts are with the people of Kerr County and surrounding areas affected by the devastating flooding and loss of life. That is according to the Houston mayor, John Whitmire. We've had statements like this coming in from different officials all over the state, as we know that several counties are sending their crews in big cities like that to assist in the search and rescue efforts. Again, once that news conference does begin, we are going to bring it to you here on Live Now from Fox. In the meantime, I do want to take you out to a news conference of sorts from earlier on today, as we did hear from former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, an actor as well, known for his movies like The Terminator. He actually spoke, giving the keynote speech at Mount Vernon, that is George Washington's Mount Vernon, a bit earlier on today, and I do want to bring that to you right now on Live Now from Fox.
Well, thank you very much for this wonderful introduction. That's exactly the way I wrote it. But anyway, I just had, first of all, good morning and happy 4th of July. I just had the great pleasure of laying a wreath at George Washington's tomb. And I have to tell you something, that I was really touched by this whole idea. Because when I came to this country 57 years ago, not in my wildest dreams, and I had wild dreams about becoming a most muscular man in the world, becoming a movie star, making a lot of money, becoming rich and famous and all that kind of stuff. But not exactly. That's why I said most muscular man. You got to learn how to listen. Remember, God gave you 2 ears and only 1 mouth. But in any case, what I'm saying is, I was saying to myself, 57 years ago when I came to this country, not in my wildest dreams did I think about that one day this immigrant will be asked to lay a wreath at George Washington's tomb and to be asked to give the keynote speech at this spectacular event here today. So I feel absolutely delighted to be here. Absolutely, thank you. Thank you. And of course, after being here at Mount Vernon, I've decided that in my next movie, I'm going to play George Washington. And Danny DeVito will play Jefferson. Oh no, maybe actually I have a better idea. Maybe Mrs. Washington. How about that, huh? Wouldn't that be cool? Now, actually talking about making movies, I just finished a movie called The Man with the Bag. It's a Christmas movie where I play Santa Claus. And Santa Claus is, of course, all about giving. But today, however, you've given me a great gift. And that gift is to be part of this very meaningful ceremony. You know, I was told that there are thousands of spectators out there. And I have to say, you're a really good-looking crowd. Man, look at them all, smiling and everything. Well, I'm very excited that you're here, and I want to thank you all for coming. Big, big hand to all of you. But actually, I came to talk to these 100 people that are sitting right here in front. To these 100 people that have just become American citizens. To these new Americans, I say thank you for sharing this wonderful day with me. And also your journey, which we also share since I'm an immigrant too. If a U.S. ambassador or historian were here in my place this morning, he or she would probably start out with some relevant quote by Washington, right? It will be about democracy and citizenship and probably make reference to the tensions in our country. But I want to start differently, with a story. Dr. Bradburn can vouch that this is true. Washington and John Marshall, who later became Chief Justice, were once riding on horseback to visit some friends. And on the way, Marshall ripped his pants, but he had no choice but to keep going on. The rip must have been in a strategic area, if you know what I mean. Because when they arrived, the only thing that Marshall could think of doing was to hold a handkerchief in front of him like a bullfighter. I have to demonstrate this. It was like this. Well, on seeing this, Washington laughed so hard that it is said that it took a time for him to recover. Now today, we call upon that joyous, happy Washington, because this is a very joyous, happy day. We are here to celebrate you that were just sworn in. We're here to recognize what you have overcome, what you have achieved, and to recognize the responsibilities that are still in front of you. I remember how happy I was when I became an American citizen. I tell you, it felt so great. It was September 17th, 1983. I was all dressed up, just like today, with the blue blazer, white shirt, and red tie, and I raised my right hand, stood straight, and I proudly said the oath. And after that, I celebrated. I celebrated at lunchtime, I celebrated at dinner time, I celebrated all night, and I had the American flag draped around my shoulders. I couldn't believe it. I kept saying to myself, Arnold, you have a new home. And I did. And so do you. And so do you. I have no doubt that similar lunches and dinners and parties will take place here today, because there's so much to celebrate. You have endured the stress of filling out the forms and the paperwork. You've waited and you've worried. You've wondered, what is taking so long? Right? Did the paperwork get lost? Did it get lost in the mail? Did it go through? What is happening here? I know those feelings. I know the relief that you must feel today. Some of you have escaped from very harsh circumstances in your previous life. I've always loved what Harriet Tubman said about escaping from slavery into freedom. She said, when I found that I'd crossed that line, I looked at my hands to see if I was the same person. There was such a glory over everything. The sun came like gold through trees and over the fields, and I felt like I was in heaven. Today, at least for a few hours, I hope that you feel a glory over everything. I hope that you feel that glory over everything. Now, I know that each of you has your own reason for wanting to be an American citizen. Some of you came to America to escape fear of persecution and political oppression. That gnawing fear that tells you not to look at the soldier in the eye. Others of you came to America because of economic desperation in your home country. That gnawing in your stomach that comes from unrelenting poverty or famine. Or maybe what drew you here was the longing to be reunited with your family. That gnawing in your heart for the people that you love, that you miss, and that you want to care for and protect. But whatever motivated you to make your way here to say, I want to be a citizen of the United States, let me explain what it tells me about you. Because of all the roles that I have played in my movies, I know something about action heroes. Right? You don't need a cartridge belt across your chest or a bazooka against your shoulder to be an action hero. And you don't need the stunts and the special effects and the Hollywood magic to be an action hero. No. Immigrants are action heroes. To tell you why I say that, because it took action to get here. Laziness did not get you here. Apathy did not get you here. A belief in the status quo did not get you here. No, action is what got you here. You wanted something more, so you went after it. You worked hard, you struggled, and you persevered. I know what you say to yourself, because this is what I said to myself. If only I can get to America. If only I can prove what I can do. If only I can be the person that I know I can be. Right? Today, all of your action over the years were rewarded. No longer are you hanging on that cliff by one hand. You have pulled yourself up. Yes, you have pulled yourself up. And the day your feet are firmly planted in America. Isn't it wonderful? So, what now? What now? In return for all that America is doing for you, in giving you your freedom, peace, and opportunity, I ask you to think about, what will you do for America? What will you do for America? When you took that oath, you were not putting your hand out for what you could get. No, you put your hand up in a promise of what you would do for America. When you took that oath and received America's many blessings, I hope that you also accepted the responsibility to give something back. Giving back does not just mean to give money. It means giving of yourself to something beyond yourself. I remember that I first arrived in America a week before Thanksgiving. And the guy in the gym reached out to me and he said, "You're here by yourself. You're a foreigner. I barely can understand you." I can't blame him for that. He said, "Why don't you spend Thanksgiving with us, with my family?" His name was Bill Drake. And I met his father and his mother, and it was the most wonderful turkey dinner with all its trimmings. And as if that was not enough generosity, that same weekend after that fantastic meal, there was a knock on my door of my empty apartment across the street from the gym. I opened it, and a parade of bodybuilders walked in, all pumped up, one after the other, carrying things in their hands. One was carrying bed sheets, the other one pillowcases, the other one utensils. One was even carrying a black and white TV. I was, I tell you, so impressed. It was a parade of generosity, turning my bare immigrant apartment into a home. That is a generosity that I will never forget. I will never forget that. That kindness left a lasting impression on me. And for the last 30 years now, I have been buying and handing out turkeys at the youth center in East Los Angeles. And I tell you something, that handing out those thousands of turkeys year after year is 100 times more rewarding than standing at the red carpet of a movie premiere. I've tried to be a good citizen and to give back. That's why I got involved in Special Olympics, became the national and international strength coach for the Special Olympians worldwide, to promote Special Olympics worldwide. That's why I was so honored also to be asked by President Bush to be the chairman of the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports, and travel through all 50 states and go into public schools and to promote exercising and fitness amongst the youngsters. and to tell them no to drugs, no to gang, and no to violence. I helped our veterans getting homes, helped the homeless. I'm involved in combating climate change and promoting healthy living, advocating civil responsibility. I started after-school programs, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, one thing I have to tell you, you don't have to run for governor as I did. Start by running to the grocery store for a homebound neighbor, or run the bake sale table at a PTA meeting. So the question is, what will you become involved in? I guarantee you that it will begin to change your life. Now here's another thing that I've learned. You do not have to give up who you are in order to succeed as an American. When I wanted to get into the movies, I remember an agent and the studio executives would say to me, he says, Arnold, that accent, that ridiculous accent. No one has ever become a movie star or a leading man with an accent like that. And then you name Schwarzen Schnitzel or whatever. It wouldn't even fit on a movie poster or on a billboard. Why don't you forget the movies altogether? Why don't you open up a health food store or a gymnasium? I was convinced that I could do it. I was in the land of opportunities. I knew that if I worked my butt off, that I could do it. I could make my vision become a reality. So I took acting classes, English classes, speech classes, dialogue classes. I even took accent removal classes. I walked around the whole day saying, a fine wine grows on a vine. And 3,333 1/3. Because these are all the things that German-speaking people have difficulty pronouncing. So I worked on it, and this is why today I have absolutely no accent at all. You're laughing, but I mean, it's not funny. I'm still looking for that coach to get my money back. But anyway, the bottom line is that an accent is nothing to be ashamed of. It is a memory of your past. It is telling a story. It tells a story, and it's part of what makes your voice distinct. America needs your story. What I'm saying is that to be an American, you do not have to fit into a box. Trust who you are. Trust your vision of your future, and trust your vision of yourself. That is what is important. Now, some will say, Arnold, you are a little bit out of touch here with what is going on in this country. Your outlook is too rosy. Yes, I'm an optimist. I admit it. But I know what's going on. I know about the division that separates us. It is true what we see in everything that we see in the news. Things might look confusing, and yes, there is heartache. But let me tell you something. No matter how difficult of a time we go through sometimes in America, we always pull out of it. We always pull out of it. And I tell you why I'm saying that, because when I came to America, I remember the confusion and the heartache when I arrived in this country in 1986. Imagine now, the year that I came, Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy were assassinated. Think about that. There were riots in the streets outside the Democratic Convention in Chicago. There were protests about the Vietnam War all over this country. It was craziness. The Vietnam War was tearing this country apart. C-141 cargo planes holding 35 to 40 flag-draped caskets per flight were coming from Southeast Asia. Imagine how many flights, how many flags that it took for 58,000 American soldiers to be returned back home. Think about that. And we pulled out of that difficult time, and we came back bigger and stronger than ever. So that's why I'm an optimist. We're gonna always come back, and we're always gonna move forward. That is the important thing. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because I read that some Americans are actually so discouraged today that they want to move to another country. They don't know what you and I know, right? I mean, you and I spent years working to become citizens. We are not people who give up easily, no, right? America needs your strong immigrant spirit right now. There was recently a number of environmentalists who have told me that they were losing hope about climate change and fossil fuels and the reduction in pollution and all this stuff because of various US policies and reversals. You know what I say to this kind of defeatist attitude? Stop whining and get to work. The thing that I know about immigrants is that you are not whiners. Because whining doesn't get you the green card or the citizenship. Whining doesn't put food on your table or pay the rent. Whining is weakness. Whining is weakness. There is a reason that you're here. You are the people that America needs right now. America needs you with your accent, with your memories of your homeland, the hope and dreams that you have, and your love and freedom for family. You do not just deserve to be in America, you are needed here. You are needed here. Let me close with this thought. Ronald Reagan once received a letter from a man who wrote that you can go to live in France, but you can't become a Frenchman. You can go to Germany or to Italy, but you can't become a German or Italian. The man said the same thing about Turkey and Japan and many other countries. But he said that anyone from any corner in the world can come to live in the United States and become an American. You are from many different places from all over the world, and today together you become one. You became an American. Yes, today you became an American, and I congratulate you. I am so happy that you're here. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you that you took this road to America together with me. And on behalf of all the citizens of this country, I congratulate you on becoming an American, and I welcome you to this land of opportunity, to the greatest country in the world. God bless all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, the Terminator right there as he was giving a speech during a naturalization ceremony at George Washington's Mount Vernon. That was a bit earlier on today, and if you did miss it, I wanted to bring it to you in full right here on Live Now from Fox. Of course, that is in connection with the 4th of July, and we are getting different reaction that is coming in from different Trump administration officials showing how they are celebrating Independence Day, but also their posts here on social media. And we do have Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who posted that photo there on the left-hand side of your screen and said, "Happy Independence Day," As the nation gathers to celebrate our country's independence this weekend, let us remember the sacrifices of our founding fathers and the patriots who sacrificed their lives, liberty, and fortunes for the freedom that we enjoy today. Again, that right there is Secretary Kristi Noem of Homeland Security. Do want to remind you that we have several events that are going to take place later on today, and they do start soon here with President Trump. He is going to hold that military picnic for families starting at 5 p.m. Eastern time. That is in less than 1 hour. And during that picnic there, he is going to sign the big, beautiful bill. Then later on tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern time, that is when they will have the White House fireworks. You can watch it as part of our fireworks special that will air tonight starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Once it gets dark, we do have the East Coast start to celebrate with fireworks, and then we go all the way toward the West Coast with our very own Mike Page and Austin Westfall. Join us tonight starting at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Going to head to a break here at 4:13 on the East Coast and 1:13 on the West Coast. You're watching Live Now from Fox. We'll be right back. Happy 4th of July, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox on this holiday. It is 4:15 on the East Coast and 1:15 on the West Coast. We are awaiting the start of that military family picnic that is going to happen at the White House. That is slated for 5 p.m. Eastern time. As I pop up this live look outside the White House, we do have some other images that are going to be coming in shortly that show kind of the setup for all of that. But again, that is slated to begin here in 45 minutes, and we are going to bring it to you in full, live, uninterrupted, once it does start. We also know that President Trump is expected to sign his big, beautiful bill during that picnic. So again, all of that, watch it here on Live Now from Fox. I do want to take you out to this right here. We were asking you a bit earlier to send in your photos of how you're celebrating the 4th of July. If you do want to do that, you can send us your photo by scanning that QR code top right-hand side of your screen, or go to livenowfox.com/connect. I do want to show just a few of those that have already been sent in a bit earlier on today. And we do have Jerome over in Salt Lake City, Utah, July 4th with Spider-Man. Gotta love it. One of the best Marvel heroes there. And I know that's questionable if it's Marvel or not, but I'm going to say it is. Let's go to Joanna A. Over in Utah. My baby is celebrating her first 4th of July. Love that. We love to see pictures of pets, of kids, all of that. and again, how you're celebrating, but also who you want to give a shout out to. Just scan that QR code top right-hand side of your screen or go to livenowfox.com/connect. That is Elizabeth B. over in Lake Wales, Florida, celebrating the 4th at the most magical place on Earth. Again, send us your photos because we will be showing those all throughout the day here on Live Now from Fox. Into tonight, make sure you also send them as you head out to those fireworks shows. Going to be difficult to light them up, but hey, if you got a selfie stick, if you got the light to bring along, make sure to do it and send us in your photos. livenowfox.com/connect. Again, we are keeping an eye on the White House as we do wait for more of those live images to come in of this event that should be kicking off shortly. We're going to bring you all of that here on Live Now from Fox. I do have to sneak in a quick 2-minute commercial break, but I do want to remind you that we're also waiting on this news conference to get underway with Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick. He is currently the acting governor of Texas and will provide an update on the flooding in that area. We do have a live look at some of the locations that have been impacted. This is Kerr County, Texas. Again, the rain is still coming down, and sadly, the flooding only expected to get a little worse here. Sadly, the death toll also expected to rise. Again, we'll bring you that news conference once it does start. Let's head to that quick break, but we'll be back in 2 short minutes. Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox on the 4th of July as we do celebrate the 249th birthday of our country. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here to bring you all of your top stories, live events, and breaking news. A bit earlier, we brought you some of the parades that were taking place nationwide. There were a lot of them, so some of them we have not been able to show you just yet. I do want to take you out to one from the Houston area a bit earlier on today.
4th of July from Wood Forest, National Bank. You know, this group always creates a lot of interest. Love Wood Forest. Next up, Oakwood, Masonic Lodge. 444, Spring Chapter 1105. Freemasons seek to shape the future by fostering personal growth in mind, heart, and moral character. From all walks of life, appreciate y'all being part of our 4th of July parade here.
Say hello to the Carvel family with their 1954 Dodge M37 to carry coming up.
Now coming up here from the Texas Twirlers, award-winning group of baton twirlers won several state and regional awards under the direction of Coach Sue Young. Many of these athletes twirl fun, inspired to twirl in high school and college. Congratulations. Thank you, Texas Twirlers.
Next up we have Falun Gong, also pronounced Falun Dafa. It's an ancient spiritual practice rooted in the Buddhist tradition. It combines meditation and gentle exercises similar to yoga and Tai Chi. Thank you for being here today, guys. Thank you.
Got a great group here, Ramon.
Love the colors.
All great messaging to have here.
It was beautiful.
That's right.
We were bringing you the sights and sounds from across the country a bit earlier on today as we see officials that were all over the country, different cities gathering to celebrate the 4th of July. It is now 4:26 on the East Coast and 1:26 on the West Coast. We do have Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, who is now speaking. He's the acting governor of Texas right now, and he's speaking about deadly flooding that happened in that area. So I do want to move on to that, as that is happening live here right on our screens.
5 minutes. It was a dry bed. It had been dry. There wasn't a lot to absorb it. It went down the rocks. And it was a destructive flood, taking property and, sadly, lives. I know that there are anxious parents watching, wanting information. We have the best rescue teams and response teams in the world in emergencies. Currently, we have 14 helicopters in the air. I've been receiving calls on my personal cell from people who know someone or have someone that was in one of these summer camps. We do not need anyone showing up with a drone. We do not need any more personal helicopters. I know it's been offered. We do not need more additional air assets. We have 14 choppers in the air. It gets dangerous even with that many flying. So I know some of you have said, oh, we can be there, we can help. We do not need any more helicopters or drones flying in the area. We have 14 choppers, as I said, 12 drones, 9 rescue teams, swimmers in the water, rescuing adults and children out of trees. We have 400 to 500 people on the ground from all of our various units, and Freeman Martin, our director of DPS, can talk about the various units who are there. For the parents who are waiting, particularly that had children in Camp Mystic. Camp Mystic is a camp that has over 750 kids. Right now, there are 20-some that aren't accounted for. That does not mean they've been lost. They could be in a tree. They could be out of communication. We're praying for all of those missing to be found alive. We're doing everything we can to get in there. We have the game wardens. You were the colonel of the game wardens, Pete, walking in by foot, driving, dropping in the water, whatever we can do to find everyone we can. That camp is divided into 2 banks. For those of you, parents who have children at Camp Mystic, this is a notice they sent out. They know all of the names of the parents, all the email addresses, all the phone calls, all the cell numbers so they can make the calls. Their following message: we have sustained catastrophic level of flooding. We have no power, water, or Wi-Fi. All Cypress Lake campers are accounted for. So if your child was in Cypress Lake, that camp is divided into certain areas. All Cypress Lake campers are accounted for. All campers on Senior Hill are accounted for. If your daughter is not accounted for, you have been notified from the camp. If you have not been personally contacted, then your daughter has been accounted for. I want to repeat that. And this is not from the state, not from the government. This is from the camp director on the ground. If you have not been personally contacted, then your daughter is accounted for. Instead of telling 700 or 800 parents your daughter is accounted for, they're calling those parents with the news that their daughter is not accounted for yet. They're working with the search and rescue with the state, obviously, and I know I've had parents. I have 8 grandchildren. I know if it was one of my children, I would be tempted to want to drive there from Houston as well. But we're asking people to stay away from the areas. There's flooding in many roads are impassable, major roads, minor roads. And once we're able to get some of those roads clear, when the rain stops, then we have 10 buses ready to go in and pick up the kids, and we'll find a point and announce it at that time where you can be reunited with your child and hug them hard, because you know they're frightened. But again, out of the over 700, we have the number of about 23 not accounted for. Yesterday, Jay Hall, who is Region Director 6, personally contacted the judges and the mayors in that area and notified them all of potential flooding. This storm, we had an area bracketed from San Angelo to Waco, down to San Antonio, Kerrville, all the areas. Not exactly sure where it would land, Some forecasts started coming together late, showing where it might land. But yesterday morning, the message was sent. It is up to the local counties and mayors under the law to evacuate if they feel a need. But that information was passed along. Because we were unsure of where the storm might land, Nim Kidd, who is on the ground there, I'm heading to Kerrville after this, and I will join out there at the emergency center. We started moving assets in various areas, not knowing where it would be, but in various areas on Friday, so that in the event, wherever the storm hit and wherever the flooding occurred, if it was flooding, that we would be on the ground as close as we could be, as fast as we could be. This is an area that has lots of camps, thousands of children throughout those camps, especially in the summertime on the 4th of July weekend. The main area that we have heard from so far is the Camp Mystic area. We have not had reports from other camps at this point of a loss, but that does not mean there has not been. We just have not had any report. There have been confirmed deaths. That number changes, and the one thing I've learned in this position over many disasters that Governor Abbott or I have had to cover, the first news is always not the correct news. And you always pray for it being better. But I'm not going to give exact numbers, but we don't have exact numbers. But somewhere between 6 and 10 bodies have been found, some in cars that were washed down upstream that came down into the area. Some are adults, some are children. Again, we don't know where those bodies came from, and was it from a camp? Was it from one of the many homes that are all along the Guadalupe River? We just obviously don't know that at this time. I want to turn it over to our Director, Freeman Martin, to talk about our response from DPS and the other agencies.
Governor, thank you. This is it's a tragic event. It's going to be a mass casualty event. We know that. We prepared. We moved resources into the area. This is a Texas response. This is not DPS. This is the Texas Military Department, Texas Department of Public Management. We have Parks and Wildlife. We have every local agency in the area. We're working hand in hand with the Kerr County Sheriff, the San Antonio Police Department, really the San Antonio region. There were many, many cities and law enforcement agencies and first responders self-deployed. So we have plenty of resources on the ground. Lieutenant Governor mentioned over 500 boots on the ground. Texas DPS alone, we have over 100 troopers, agents, and rangers on the ground. We have 7 helicopters. We're supported by 5 TMD helicopters and 2 Parks and Wildlife helicopters. We have planned for shifts. We're going to work throughout the night. So when we started this at 4 o'clock in the morning, we've been working this all day. We've got a B shift and a C shift that are going to come in and relief, so there won't be a gap in the search and rescue operations. But the governor said it accurately, is there's too many unknowns, and there's information that sometimes it sounds conflicting. You have a report that there's 20 people missing from one camp, and then you have a report that everybody's accounted for. Well, there's 2 camps that are split with the same name. So we don't want to get in front of that. It's taken some time to get in there. With all the resources we have, as bad as the storm was this morning, our helicopters had a hard time getting in. And so a lot of people that were cut off, they were counted as missing, they don't have self-service or electricity, but they're on high ground and they're safe. So we have gotten to several of these where there's as many as 200 in one location. We're able to bring in food and water and supplies to them. It's just taking time to get them out of there. At the same time, there's other camps where we know their people are missing, and there's search and rescue operations going on. Parks and Wildlife using their boat teams, some of our tactical marine assets. They go as far as they can go, and then they go on foot the rest of the way. So it's not easy, but we're making progress and hope to have better numbers later this afternoon. As the Lieutenant Governor said, we'll be on the ground here shortly with our first responders there in Kerrville. I know there's reunification centers stood up, one in Ingram at the elementary school, at 125 West Brave Run in Ingram. There's another one at the Arcadia Live Center on Walter Street in Kerrville. And then there's media staging at the Hill Country Youth Event Center in Kerrville, where there'll be a media press event later on. A couple of things. Lieutenant Governor said we don't need any more first responders. We don't need anybody to self-deploy. We don't need any more drones or helicopters. We don't need people just showing up. This is a very coordinated response. Stay away from the area. If you can, stay home with your families. That's the right thing to do, to stay out of this area. There's working with TxDOT. We know there's over 85 locations that have been impacted by high water, and at least 25 roads shut down. Right now, the rain has let up, but we know there's another wave coming, and then there's going to be some more impact downstream later tonight and tomorrow that we're concerned about. So we'll continue to work with locals. We're also doing rescue operations and evacuation operations in Tom Green County and Kimball County. We're concerned about San Saba downriver, so there will be more notifications coming out. If you're asked to evacuate, please evacuate. If you are on a roadway and you see water, you have no idea how deep that water is or how swift it is. Stop, turn around. Do not try to cross water if you don't know, you can't tell how deep it is. But the best advice is stay home. And I know y'all want numbers. I wish we had numbers. Those numbers change frequently. Like I said, some people are reporting as missing, and they're not missing. They were evacuated. They're safe. They just didn't. No family member is concerned not knowing where they are. So, with that, Governor, I'll turn it back over to you.
I do want to mention before I turn it over to Pete that I was in touch with the governor early this morning with Senator Ted Cruz. We've been in touch. I've tried to reach out to the sheriff, or not tried, reached out to the sheriff and the county judge in Kerr County, and understandably they're busy, not answering their phone. They're getting a lot of calls from a lot of people, but that's why we're going down there. But we are in touch between our departments. We are in touch with them. We've had multiple calls from the White House today. I've talked to several people at the White House. The president has sent the message, whatever we need, we will have. We are sending in the Army Corps of Engineers. It's one of the requests we made to look at the dam at Canyon Lake to make sure that dam holds. I just had a meeting with them before I came out here. I said, is the dam safe? And they said, it is safe, sir. I said, safe tomorrow? It is safe, sir. I said, well, if anything changes on that, you call me on speed dial immediately. But right now, the Army Corps believes that dam will hold and is safe as we sit here today. We're also expecting more rain and potential flash flooding to the Waco area, San Antonio, Austin, overnight. That would not be, that would be localized flooding where, as the director said, you don't want to be driving in deep water. We could have heavy rain in those areas. But even in the Kerrville area, even if it's not a heavy rain, just a few inches of rain is going to only make the situation worse. Let me turn it over to Senator Pete Flores, who represents that area, along with House member Wes Verdell, who reached out to me earlier today. I know he's from Brady. I don't know if he's waterlocked or not, because some of those roads are cut off, but we appreciate him reaching out. Senator Flores.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for allowing me to be here, and thank you all for being here. And the first comment is prayers for our affected Texans, and to make sure that they come out of this event with their lives. And for the first responders that are out there, especially the local ones who were there first, we want to always recognize that they mostly voluntarily step up for their fellow citizens, and they're the first ones there and the last ones to leave. My role is to work with the governor and work with the state agencies to make sure that our affected areas get what they need. And thank God we are in Texas, because Texas is well prepared to do this. And my previous life was as a game warden, so as a colonel game warden, so I've responded to many of these emergencies over the years and hurricanes, and know what's happening and what's fixing to happen. It's basically we're in the search and rescue part. That's what's most important, and for all of us to remember is that this first 24 to 48 hours is search and rescue and saving as many lives as we can and recovering as much of our fellow Texans that we can. So as we do that, we thank you very much for your support of of our first responders and that are out in the field at this moment as we speak, and we will continue to move forward to ensure that the most successful outcome that we can possibly do happens. And again, thank God we're in Texas, because that makes it more probable.
A website, disaster.texas.gov, for those watching if you want to keep up with reports, disaster.texas.gov. Before I open up for questions, I want the parents out there who are watching who are unsure because they're just unsure. But the parents who got calls from Camp Mystic where they said your daughter is not accountable at this point, or is not accounted for at this point, I want all of you to know we will do everything humanly possible 24/7, looking at every tree, turning over every rock, whatever it takes, if your child is one of those truly missing and not just out of touch, to find your daughter. We will do everything humanly possible to find your daughter or son. And we say daughter because Camp Mystic is a girls' camp, and that's where we've had a number unaccounted for. 20-some was the last count before I came out, and again, that could change while we were sitting here. Make no mistake, we will do everything possible. The 500 people that are in the field are looking for your daughter. Questions?
Governor, you talked about how fast this rain came and how fast
Yes.
the channel filled up. Do you know if they got any lead time at all out on site, and were people able to get out of there before the rains hit?
So the weather forecasts were all over the map, from a few inches to possible flooding. And I had my first contact, I believe the governor left the state Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm not exactly sure, but I had a contact on Wednesday of potential heavy rain, potential weather, somewhere in a very large area of Texas. And so that was the first contact. And then on yesterday, I guess it was Thursday, there was a 10 o'clock weather call, and that call goes out every day at 10 o'clock, and judges and mayors are invited to be on the call. 10 a.m., yes, sir. And so that call was put out. And then just to double down, again, I mentioned Jay Hall, the region director. He went out personally and made sure everyone on the local officials were aware there could be flooding. And it could have gone somewhere else. The storm could have moved 20 miles somewhere else. But everything was done to give them a heads up that you could have heavy rain, and we're not exactly sure where it's going to land. Obviously, as it got dark last night, we got into the wee morning of the hours. That's when the storm started to zero in. Another question?
Lieutenant Governor, do you anticipate, or do you know if there will be any sort of curfew put into place?
I don't. That would be up to the local officials. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I don't think people are roaming around out there. The water's pretty high. Yes. Another question?
Can you give us a timeline on when the deployment first happened that you were describing earlier? Was it last night?
The first calls we got into TDEM and Nim Kidd, who would normally be here, he's on site there in Kerrville. He drove there earlier this morning. They had pre-positioned equipment and people in the event it would be close to somewhere it landed. You know, they may have to move 10 or 15 miles, but they had already pre-positioned, not knowing if it was going to be a light rain, a medium rain, or heavy rain. But there were surely multiple forecasts. And this morning, it's my understanding, Director, that at 4 a.m. we started getting the first calls and response calls. Is that correct?
That's correct. We actually started moving resources a couple of days ago, and for us, it's a holiday weekend, so there are no days off for troopers, agents, and rangers. Law enforcement, we work the holidays, but starting 2 days ago, we started moving aircraft and strategically placing some boat teams with Parks and Wildlife in coordination with TDEM. And so, but the thing is, we didn't know Menard, Kerrville, San Antonio. You know, so we stage them in the San Antonio area for the most part. But
well, Thank you very much for coming. We will update you as we have more information. Again, disaster.texas.gov. You know, we always say in these situations, you know, thoughts and prayers. I'm asking the people of Texas, do some serious praying this afternoon, on your knees kind of praying, that we find these young girls and that they're only unaccounted for because they're somewhere that we don't know yet, but that they're alive and safe, and we will find them. If they're alive and safe, we will find them and bring them home to you. So please pray for these families tonight and this afternoon. Thank you all very much. Yes, sir.
All right, and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick there saying that he is now headed over to Kerr County to take a look at some of that damage, as we are told that the rescue efforts are expected to continue all throughout the night. As you heard, somewhere between 6 and 10 deaths have been reported here. Sadly, they do say that number could continue to rise as more bodies are recovered. They also say that 23 people from one camp, all children, of course, are quote-unquote unaccounted for, but they are looking into that at this point, and they are hoping for a good outcome. Again, they will work through the night as those search efforts do continue, with 14 aircraft and 400 to 500 personnel out there working this situation. All right, so officials there in Kerr County are also holding a news conference at the same time right now. I do want to lift up the audio and listen in to that.
Is to give you information as soon, as quickly, and as accurately as we can. I want to say another time, thank you to all the dedicated men and women from so many different agencies who are here to help. City crews, county crews, and state crews are working extremely hard to help in this situation. I want the public to know we are doing everything we can to rescue those who are in peril and to find those who are missing. Now I'd like to call on City Manager Dalton Rice.
Thank you, Mayor Herring. Dalton Rice, the City Manager for the City of Kerrville. I really want to appreciate and thank everybody for their patience. We know that this is a lot going on. We know that some of the times have changed. As I said before in the previous briefing, this situation has evolved very quickly, and it's still actively going on. So I want to kind of share a couple things. We have what we know, we have what we don't know, and we have what we don't know we don't know. And so we're continuously working through this process. Kind of just a real quick brief history of what happened on the timeline this morning. The North and South Fork, which feed into the Guadalupe, hit peaks about 3 a.m., give or take. Don't quote me on my times, but somewhere around 3:30, 3 a.m. I was on the river trail at that time, and everything was fine. Within an hour to hour and a half to 2 hour period, it was up almost to the bridge. So it rose very quickly, very significantly. We even had crews, out just getting ready for the 4th of July event, and we could not anticipate this. Despite flood warnings, despite everything going on, there were some things that happened very fast. When those two rivers converged, or two forks converged, it created obviously a large flood event. In that, because of the early morning hours and because of the holiday weekend or holiday time period, those were not yet awake, and there was a lot of people that were sleeping. And so as we are going through the camps, we are still trying to figure out where people are, what's going on, and how to best serve those. So again, thank you for your patience. I'm going to throw a lot of information out to you guys as far as shelters. We do have multiple shelters set up. Shriner University Event Center at 2100 Memorial Boulevard. First United Methodist Church at 321 Thompson Drive. Calvary Temple Church, 3000 Loop 534. Notre Dame Catholic Church, 929 Main Street. We also have a donation center located. You can call the Red Cross. They are not quite set up as far as donations yet. However, Cross Kingdom at 3044 Jet Highway, 830-367-3480 is taking donations, so please contact them if there's any donations out there. We are working on getting a volunteer set up, so we understand that a lot of people want to help, a lot of people want to provide their assets and their time, but please bear with us while we get a number and get a volunteer coordinator set up. So if you want to help, give us some time. We are currently still actively rescuing, so we are not quite into recovery mode yet. We are still actively trying to find those that are out and those that are needing assistance. A couple utility updates. CAPUB, Kerrville Public Utility Board, our electric co-op. We have about 2,800 customers that still remain without power. Damage assessments are ongoing. We are having obviously some still active flooding and some road closures that are impacting CAPUB operations. We do have some other sites that are currently underwater still. So we do not have an estimated time for restoration. That will be delayed. Again, stay away from down power lines. If you think it's a line, just stay away from it. You can report outages 24/7 on the Smart Hub app, online at kpub.com, or 855-959-2496. We will be moving EOC about 1,800 at some point. We also, as far as water, we did have a couple water main breaks that are being resolved. Some of the floods and flooding damage has caused some water main breaks. So we do have crews out there to identify those breaks as well. If you do not have to be on the road, please stay off the roads. Let emergency vehicles pass. We've had some issues with emergency vehicles not being able to get to their locations or to get to the places that they're trying to rescue people or save people. This will go into the evening. We plan on working around the clock. Our next operational period will start, and we'll continue to get information out to y'all in a timely manner. So without that, I will turn it back over to Clint. Thank you.
Thank you, Dalton. Okay, that's going to about conclude what we're doing for this event. Our next communication, we're estimating for about 7 to 7:30 this evening. We urge the public to continue to monitor our social media channels for the Kerr County Sheriff's Office, as well as Kerr County, the City of Kerrville, and that will help you see the most recent information that we have, especially about what we need you to do to stay safe. Thank you very much.
How many missing from Camp Mystic? Is there any Spanish?
The Lieutenant Governor says that mayors and county judges were warned about possible flooding. Did that warning come through?
All right, so it does appear that officials there in Kerr County, Texas, are not answering questions right now, but that could change during the next briefing that is slated for later on tonight. We'll, of course, keep you updated on what information comes out of that. But again, as of now, officials there, including Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, do confirm at least 6 people have died. They say that number could be even higher right now, but they are working to identify bodies, and rescue crews are also working to save lives there and do expect to work all throughout the night. Now, at this point, 23 children from one camp are considered to be quote unquote unaccounted for, but officials say they are working to find all of those children. We're going to head to our final 2-minute commercial break of the hour here, 4:55 on the East Coast and 1:55 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and you're watching Live Now from Fox.